Well, that's why I want to talk to you, because you figured it out, Dr. Watson. You figured out the magic formula for, your career and how you're transitioning into doing something else. Your name came to mind because I've had a lot of clients say, "Oh, I can't sustain this for any amount of time." Tell us your magic formula.
Okay, there's no magic formula. I just listen to the right people, and I was lucky to hit with the right people. I've been in practice 37 years, and 35 of those have been with associates in the office. So in my first year in practice, and I got to give credit to Dr. James W. Parker. He's the one that mentored me in the beginning to be successful enough to bring in the associates. So in the first year in solo practice, a couple of days I'd seen over 100 patients in a single day. And I realized I haven't got the frame for this. I'm going to kill myself if I keep trying to have a huge practice like that. So I realized right away I needed to bring in associates. If we wanted to have the big practice of our dreams, I couldn't be the one that was doing all the adjusting. So I cut myself down to about 60 a day and brought in associate doctors.
Where did you first start out in practice? Give me a rundown of the history of Dr. Watson.
I started out as an associate in a very, very poor practice. They brought me in to cover maybe the overhead on the days they weren't there. But I heard about a very successful chiropractor nearby, so I quickly got out of that situation and went and worked as an associate. And by the way, Kim, that's the history of many, many successful chiropractors. They work as an associate for a year or two, and then they go and they find a small practice to buy. And I recommend young guys do that. Work for a really successful chiropractor, because those habits that you get in the beginning are going to stick with you for your full life in practice. So I worked for him for a year or two. Then I went and bought a small practice in a small town, and within a year had, as I said, I was seeing almost 100 patients a day on some days, and started bringing in associate doctors. And here we are today. I've had 18 different associates, and we have 3 working for us right now.
How many new patients are you bringing in a month?
A good month, we would see 80 new patients. And on a poor month, around 50. A slow month, we see 50 new patients. And that's been one of you were going to ask me about challenges in practice. And that's been one of them. When you're in solo practice, you don't really have much problem generating referrals. But when you bring in associate doctors, part of the challenge is generating enough new patients. And I got to thank you. I'm going to plug in here for you. To do that, we started doing screenings. And I thought we were pretty darn good at screenings. But when we brought you in, and I'm going to tell the young doctors again, don't be afraid to spend the time and the money getting the experts. Find out who's the best. Kim Gorham's the best in the world at screenings. So we brought Kim from California to Canada, and she showed us how to do it, and she basically doubled our return on the time we were spending doing screenings. So that's your plug.
Oh my God, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. What we're talking about today is really the longevity of your success. And you're still quite a youngster, but you're now working half the time that you used to. And I would just like to try to paint the picture for doctors today. I have Charlene Poderoso, who is one of my girls who came up through my company and now is just graduated as a chiropractor. And we're going to be doing a huge event for her at the end of this month. Really excited to start out that way. But she knows that she's got to work really hard for the first 2 years before she can take her foot off the gas. Is that what people can expect in the beginning? Work really hard for 2 years, then you can maybe take off a little bit? Or how much time are we talking? Pedal to the metal.
It's never easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it, right? And it's most difficult in the beginning. Like, I can honestly say I would put in 50 to 60 hours a week in practice, not seeing patients, but in the planning and getting procedures ready and just getting everything ready you have to have the procedures in place. It's like trying to run a locomotive without rails if you don't. So it has to be ready. If you want to see high volume, you've got to have everything prepared. So we worked really hard for those first couple of years. And then it doesn't get any easier, because then you're managing associates, and we added on to the building twice. We renovated several times, and then we ended up building 2 new buildings over the last 37 years. So, but that's the fun part. But it's never easy. It's never easy. If they have the idea that it's ever going to be easy, they're going to be heartbroken. It's not. It gets easy at this stage in my life when I can start slowing down and taking vacations and going away as much as I want. When you have one associate and you go away, it's very difficult for them to handle the patient load. If you have two, they can handle it, but it shuts off the growth of the practice because they're both really busy. Once you get the third one in there and you go away, they don't even know you're gone. So that should be every chiropractor's goal, I think, to have 3 associates.
That's a really good point. And I think a lot of people are just afraid to even have one. That's going to be so challenging to find the right fit. So that's a good question. How do you find the right fit for your associates? They've been there for a while now.
I've had the one that's with me the longest now has been here 8 years, and one for 5 years and one for 3 years. But you don't find the right associate to fit. They have to fit to you. And I told my associates that I'm not going to change my procedures and my principles for each guy. I would have had to change the office 18 times. They have to modify themselves to fit to what we believe in, okay? And then once they get the picture, they understand, and they'll become amenable to that. Now, I have to say though, the college, the school that they come from does make a difference. If you can get a young chiropractor coming out of a subluxation-based school, it makes a big difference. They're much easier to train.
You've got the right idea, and you don't have to really bend their wills. I think that's a big challenge, is getting people, like you said, in line with your way of thinking. And right. I'm sorry, I'm fighting this one right here, trying to get them out. Go. They never pay attention to me unless I'm taping. You are such a good leader, Dr. Watson. And I think a lot of my clients are having challenges in the leadership department. And when I came out and I visited with you, I was so impressed by how your people just surrounded you. And it's not just your associates, it's your entire team.
You're gonna make me cry. You told me that they love me, and I hope that's true. And Kim, I've had to fire a few people. They didn't love me, but it's only been a few times, okay? And I think there's a couple of reasons why it's worked out so well. One is I always treated them as if they were my family. I'm old enough now that the guys I'm hiring could be my sons, right? So that part came easy. And when we talk about our patients, we want to treat them with loving service, my first technique. You have to do that with them too. And the thing I wanted most for those doctors, the associate doctors, were for them to be successful. So, and they feel that. They know that I love them and I want them to do well. And I've had 18 associates, and the majority of them went out on their own after they worked for me and have done very well, okay? And they still love me and we're still friends. With the employees, our employees are highly incentivized too. And they have been from day one when they start with us. The worst thing I've ever seen is a chiropractor who's very successful, and he's driving a Mercedes and he's paying his staff minimum wage, and people can't live on that. So we've incentivized them. We have employees that have been with us a long time, some making more than $35 an hour, which in our industry is unheard of. And I'm happy to pay it because they built the practice for me. So as the practice went up, their hourly wage went up. And I think they like me for that too.
Of course they do. Well, you treat them well. And one thing about you, Dr. Watson, is you hit the nail on the head. You treat everybody like family, your patients, your friends. I know you love me. How do you show your team and your patients that you love them? How do they know you love them? What can doctors do tangible?
You don't have to do anything. You're innate and they're innate talks. And if you love them, you don't have to tell them. They feel it.
That is true.
I'm sorry I give you such a simple answer, but it's true.
You just got a love for real. And maybe that's why people are having a hard time, because they're trying to generate that as not a real emotion. Maybe they're just trying to fake it till they make it.
I've seen that with associates that have tried to pretend that they love people, but this is an old Parkerism. You can't purify the water by whitewashing the pump. So you either love them or you don't, So I've always, if a lady older than me comes in, I want to treat her like my mother. If it's a man, I want to treat him like my father. If it's my age, it's my brother. And if they're younger than me, it's my kid. And you treat them the way you would treat your own family, and that they can feel that.
They sure do, and they want more of it. I see practices that are booming. I see ones that are failing. And this one in particular really stood out. And I know that your practice is the same. You have those people that just show up because they want to feel and they want to experience the love. So I think that that's another big reason why you guys are so busy, because you do care. Now, what if somebody doesn't feel as big as you? What if somebody is struggling in the love department? Do you have any suggestions on how to look at your patients more like family? I know that was a good suggestion. Is there anything else?
When our practice does go into a slump sometimes, and if we want to overcome that, that's one of the things you have to do, is start loving people a little bit harder. I've hung around with, I wasn't naturally a really loving person from my background, but I hung around with people that were, and I learned from them. And I'll give you some examples. Rick Wren is the perfect example of love. Gilles LaMarche, and I've got some other really good friends that I met at Parker that I rubbed shoulders with over the years, and I learned it from them. So maybe they can mimic people they know that are loving people. That would help. And if you act as if long enough, you will become a loving person.
That's perfect. That's exactly what I'm looking for, because people want tangibles, all this love talk. Well, how do you create the love? We are getting down to the nitty gritty here, and I think it's very valuable information. So we got to find somebody that is loving and follow them around and pattern after that. And I agree, Gilles LaMarche, he takes time for everybody. And that's the other good sign of leadership and true love, which I believe leadership is stimulated by love. And Rick Wren too, I agree with him. You walk into the room and you can feel them. They touch you differently. They hug you a little longer. They do tangible things that we can emulate.
Part of it, this is kind of hard, but part of it is in the way you set up the financial arrangements with associates too. If they become successful and you're paying them out of your own pocket, you're not going to love them. You know what I mean? After a while, it's not going to work out. So it's a lot of it's in the way you set up the financial situation with the associates. And I'd be happy to share that with anybody who wants that information at no charge, how we do that, and incentivize the staff too. And the big one I've noticed, if you have doctors working in the office that are a little more, what's the word? I don't want to say non-loving, but a little colder with people. For instance, they'll walk in the morning and they'll just go down the hall, don't say hello to anybody, and go in their office and close the door. And I will go to them and I'll say, listen, we're not in the chiropractic business. We're in the people business. You got to love people. So when you come in the morning, I want you to make a valiant effort to say something, hello and good morning to every one of the staff too, as you go through. That's just an example.
That's perfect. That's really good little tips. You also, you give back to the profession. And that is so important. I mean, we have some young students coming out right now that think that you guys have this in the bag. They don't have to go out and they don't have to work and give back to the profession, because we got the old timers are doing it. That's what they're calling us now, by the way. We're old timers now. So, but you know what? That's not the way that it works. And I'm trying to show people that you can actually grow your practice by being more involved in volunteer work. And this, something about it, when I volunteer, because I do an awful lot of it also, and when I do that, my business always gets blessed by it. Have you noticed that happening with your practice, being involved in the Star Search?
Okay, I volunteered to do Star Search about 10 years ago. Gilles LaMarche, I just approached him and said, we haven't done serendipity, which it used to be called for a number of years. He says, if you want to do it, you just take the bull by the horns and set it up. And it allowed me to meet a lot of great young chiropractors. And I've seen people who came in and could barely stutter their way through the first time they did it and become very successful speakers, and meet some successful chiropractors too. So I say yes, doing that volunteer work has helped me as much as I've helped anybody else.
Can you share a little bit about the Star Search and what that is?
Okay, what it is we allow students or young chiropractors to come in and speak for 5 minutes or less on stage at Parker, in front of a smaller group, though not in front of a large group. And then we award a trophy to the best speaker. And that person in the past has been allowed to say a couple of words at the closing ceremony. and it's generated some very good people into the in the speaker program.
You're creating leaders, Dr. Watson.
True. Yeah.
That's huge. In the general scheme of things, if we're talking what you put out is what you get back. If you're giving and you're loving and you're serving, you're going to be getting a lot more of that back. And this, this whole topic is for the students that I have coming out and the chiropractors that I meet that are struggling right now. And I get calls every day. It's so sad. People, they graduate and they expect that they're going to be successful because they've been told that they're going to be, and they get out there and they try it and it just doesn't work out. Then they call me and they only have 3 weeks of budget left in their bank account. They've already let go of all their team members, and they're getting foreclosed on in their personal life. They're under so much stress.
Oh my God.
My goal is just, and when it gets to that point, it's really hard to come back. And we have some strategies that are, no dollar type marketing things that we help them with. And I actually volunteer my time and I get them to where they can, they're back at least on some solid footing. Really? But it really surprises me that people don't understand that this is going to take some work. This growing a practice, you can't just show up and open the door and think that people are going to come in through the front door, right? I mean, that's not going to ever happen.
No, it's never gonna be easy. That it's just like a snowball rolling downhill until you've been in practice for many, many years, especially in the beginning. I remember how hard I worked to get things going in the beginning. Just as an aside, I was thinking about when a lot of people look, where's this profession taking me? But really the way they should look at it is, I'm gonna work hard and I'm gonna take the profession with me. And Dr. Parker told us years ago, he said, the success of the chiropractic profession lies in the success of the individual chiropractor. And we need more chiropractors, not less. So we're totally underserving the population. And I always felt that it behooves me to be successful so that chiropractic can be successful. And I love chiropractic. Chiropractic allowed me to have this fabulous lifestyle. And it allowed me to help over 30,000 people who were suffering. It helped them get better, out of pain, get their health back, live longer. So chiropractic's a fantastic career, but it doesn't happen easy. You've got to really work hard in the beginning.
Yeah. You got to want it.
Yeah.
You got to want it. You got to have the love in your heart and the energy and the excitement behind it. It is a tricky thing, but you've done it so well, and I'm just grateful and honored to be a part of your journey. And I look forward to seeing you again soon, hopefully. CalTam's pretty far away, but I'm glad to hear that you Canadians are coming to CalTam. Yay!
Can I leave you with just a couple of pearls?
I would love it.
That I would say to myself if I could go back to when I was 30 years old or something, or 25.
I would love that.
Starting in practice. Number one, when you start making money, pay yourself first. Save a minimum of 10% of everything you make. Okay, and then you can be very comfortable as you get older. The best thing I ever heard on saving money, I learned at Parker many years ago, and they talked about a tape that you could get. It was called The Richest Man in Babylon. And man, I listened to that and I've lived by it for 35 years, and it's right on. So I want every young chiropractor that's starting to make a little bit of cash flow to listen to The Richest Man in Babylon. It's beautiful, and it's from 2,000 years ago, and it still works today. The other thing is, everybody knows who Billy Graham is. Billy Graham said that when he accepted the Bible at full faith, his ministry took on a new meaning. And for you young chiropractors, I came out of a school that was not subluxation based, and I had to unlearn a lot of that. But the day I accepted the chiropractic principle at full faith, that the body is a self-healing mechanism, the subluxations are not the only cause of disease, but they're one of the leading causes of disease today. And there's people in your town right now that are dying because they need chiropractic care, and they're dying from taking too many drugs too. So it's up to you to tell them. It's up to you to get out there. Don't be motivated. Have a mission. You're going to get out there and save your community. And if you do that, chiropractic as a whole will continue to grow.
Pearls of wisdom. Perfect. And cut.